Governor Newsom recently tried to raise the minimum wage in California from $16 to $20. Mm-hmm. However, one kind of business was exempt from that, and Panera Bread exempt from California's $20 minimum wage law after owner donated to Governor Newsom.
What? It's just corruption.
Oh, how curious. What a coincidence.
What's inside government? It's just corruption.
It's just corruption is the correct answer. It certainly looks like it, yeah.
Does Panera Bread even exist in the UK? Like, have you guys either of you ever been there?
Don't think I've seen it.
I can say I've never been to Panera Bread.
I've heard it mentioned by Americans a lot.
It is a fundamentally mediocre sandwich shop that also has, their soup's good. That's the one thing, their soup is okay. But it's extremely overpriced. It's like, people go to Panera Bread to set up their laptops and pretend like they're working while they have their coffee. That's what the point of Panera Bread is. In fact, I took an entire doctoral level class held in a Panera Bread because it was me and my advisor and the 3 other students, and we were talking about metaphysics and stuff. Well, it was about like media psychology stuff, but still, that's the kind of vibe that Panera Bread has. It's supreme lefty shit.
So it's basically pret-a-manger.
It's more pretentious than Pret-a-Manger, yeah. Or probably about the same level pretentious now that I think about it, yeah. It's more or less the same thing.
It's just American Pret with 5% more pretense. Okay, I understand it now.
California.
Are we getting semaphore?
Yes, we are getting semaphore.
Wonderful.
California Governor Gavin Newsom signed a law that exempts Panera Bread from a new $20 an hour minimum wage hike for fast food chains after the billionaire owner of several of the chain's locations donated to his campaign, according to a report. In September, Newsom, a Democrat, signed into law a measure that raises the minimum wage of it does say food fast workers, but I think it means fast food workers. It does say
food fast, yeah.
Yeah, from $16 an hour to $20 an hour. But the Fast Food Accountability and Standards Recovery Act, or FAST Act, backronym. Actually, it's not a backronym. What is the word for that kind of acronym where they deliberately build the words in it to make a sensical acronym? What is the name for that? I don't think there is one.
I just call it bullshit.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, Jay.
Everyone does it. Everyone does it. I don't like it.
They do.
Includes an unusual carve-out that exempts chains that... You'll like this. The exemption is chains that bake bread and sell it as a standalone item. They're exempt.
Why is that?
I'm sorry. There was a shatter pause there. Like what?
Right.
Really?
Yeah. Frame breaking.
Yeah, they're exempt. So everyone has to pay. What is it, like a quarter as much again for all their workers, except businesses, which bake bread and sell it as a standalone item.
Well, you know what I would do if I was any other fast food?
Start baking bread and sell it as a standalone item, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then get exempt. Oh no. And then they'll come up with some, this is ridiculous. It's absolutely absurd.
Well, so Subway's not exempt.
I think they get their bread shipped in, don't they? But they do, they toast it on site.
Well, doesn't that mean like all bakeries are exempt?
Yes,
all bakeries should be exempt. And Subway should technically be exempt because they do get their like frozen bread shipped in, but they bake it on site.
What you could do is you could get really
for years.
You can get really dodgy with this and just like have one piece of bread a day baked in the back of the room and then just put it on the menu in like size 4 font. Now, technically,
it's because
you have to pay you less.
Subway doesn't just sell bread. You can't just, I guess. Well, then Subway can just start selling bread.
Yeah, just have bread on the menu. If you ask them for can I just get the bread, please? I'm sure they would do it.
I'm sure they'd be fine.
Yeah. But like, why was this? The funny thing is about this exception, you might think, some functionary put this in. Newsom reportedly sought the exemption, which benefits, among others, Greg Flynn, the billionaire CEO of Flynn Restaurant Group, the company that owns some 24 Panera Bread locations in the state. So as Scrump said earlier, just looks like sheer pure corruption.
Nepotism.
It's just corruption.
No, it's not even nepotism.
It's not nepotistic. Yeah, it's just corruption, yeah.
It is just corruption. It's California, after all. These things are likely to happen there.
Sure.
There he is. Flynn, who attended, by the way,
this is our democracy.
Attended the same high school as Newsom, has been involved in business dealings with the California governor, according to Bloomberg News. He's also contributed to Newsom's political campaigns. In 2014, Flynn, who was the largest franchisee in the US with thousands of brands, including Applebee's, Pizza Hut, Taco Bell, and Wendy's Nuts, acquired a Napa Valley resort that was managed by Newsom's hospitality firm, according to disclosure forms. So, friends from school, business dealings in the past, he's contributed to the campaign, and he's an important businessman for the state. And he's been given an exemption to this that's just like, well, just these guys basically, but we're going to word it differently.
Yeah.
The thing is, this happens all the time. This happens in the UK. There's a huge amount of stuff everywhere. In the UK of, there's one guy who ended up, I can't remember the MP's name, but it's silly stuff. Like there's a guy who ended up on the board of directors of a caravan park company, and he asked 15 like useless questions in Parliament, basically to nobody. Because if you've ever seen BBC Parliament, there's no in. There's like one guy called like Harold who's like 88, who just like sleeps in the back. And the fact, he's never missed a debate in Parliament. He's like, yeah, because he sleeps in here. Yeah. And there'll be some guy who's asked like 15 questions to an empty room in Parliament about caravan parks and been paid like £2 million for it for no reason. And that just happens as a matter of course in a lot of the UK. Because Mohammed Al-Fayed talked about that, didn't he? Because he basically was like, I got Harrods because I bribed lots of people. Britain's really corrupt. And then he went, well, aren't you really corrupt as well? Because you went and bribed a bunch of people. And it's like, well, I'm not a politician, so it's different. It's all so stupid. It's just like, it's not like questions in Parliament do anything anyway. It doesn't work like that. Nothing actually gets decided in Parliament, I digress.
No,
it's so stupid that a billionaire kind of can create a bread exemption that might create this weird chain of events in which we have fast food restaurants in California selling, like you said, selling one piece of bread a day for a tax. It's our tax exemption bread. It's the most important thing on the menu.
Yeah,
I mean, they are supposedly they are supposedly communists, right, or socialists. Of course, they care more about the bread. We got to get those bread lines in place. I think it's fascinating though that they just do this out in public, like out in the open. They don't even try to hide it anymore. Just like, just like openly corrupt.
I think he was hoping that no one would notice this, but people did. And so then this happened. Gavin Newsom says Panera Bread is not exempt from California minimum wage law. Really? Why not?
Is it?
Do they not sell bread? Because that's in the thing. California Governor Gavin Newsom. Why would that be an
exemption to a minimum wage law, though? I mean, I get if it was like an exemption to a food tax law. I remember the pie tax and the drama surrounding that here in the UK. Or maybe that was just the North because it runs on.
Yeah, I'm interested in his excuse. What's his excuse?
The minimum we know we gloss past this, but minimum wage in itself is a terrible idea. At least like raising it beyond a reasonable minimum is a terrible idea. Maybe even having one at all. He says that fast food chain Panera Bread is not exempt from the state's new minimum wage law amid claims that the law would benefit a Newsom donor who owns several Panera restaurants. California's minimum wage is $16 per hour starting April 1st. Most fast food restaurants must pay their workers at least $20 an hour under new legislation that Newsom signed last year, but it does not apply to restaurants that have on-site bakeries and sell bread as a standalone menu item, the Associated Press reported. According to a report by Bloomberg News, the bread and bakery exemption to the law came from Newsom himself and would benefit billionaire Greg Flynn, who owns more than 20 Panera restaurants, etc., etc. Alex Stack, a spokesperson for Newsom, told the AP that the story is absurd. It's not that absurd, to be honest, mate. And that the governor's legal team believes Panera Bread is not exempt from the law. To be exempt from the minimum wage law...
Why was the exemption there, then?
Good question.
Right. Explain this.
Good question. To be exempt from the minimum wage law under the bakery exception, restaurants must produce bread on site. Newsom's office said chain bakeries such as Panera mix dough at an off-site location and ship it to the restaurant to be baked. Similar to Subway.
Same thing.
Well, I'm not sure I believe them. I'm not sure that's always what happens, or that wasn't what was. They were just about to change it. So Newsom slipped this in before it happened. I guess like any business that has the alacrity or the flexibility or agility to just insert baking on site is going to have an advantage over those that don't.
Well, let's try to think about this, I think, from a logical perspective, right? If the whole point is that minimum wage workers who work at fast food restaurants are being underpaid, so we need to raise the minimum wage from $16 an hour to $20 an hour, but not at places where people actually bake bread rather than doing the McDonald's staff, which is just taking something out of a freezer and putting it into an oven, like the absolute and still can't get it right. Absolute bare minimum. I know that job sucks, but still, like. What
I also want to know
just
why in the first place. Yeah. Why this
Well, the obvious reason is corruption. But like, I would love to hear Newsom try to explain why it is that people who actually make bread from scratch should get paid less than people who microwave a hamburger.
Yeah.
Explain
I
that,
agree.
please.
Like, obviously, as I said, we know the reason, the real reason, but I want to see what he would give as the reason why this was an exemption, especially one that he pursued.
Exactly.
Flynn reported to the AP, reportedly told the AP that he met with Newsom's staff about the bill, but did not speak with the governor about it himself. He denied asking for special considerations and said he was surprised the exemption made it into the final piece of legislation. Flynn being the billionaire. It would be easy to say that, though, wouldn't it? You would hardly say, yeah, it was something I asked him to do, because he's corrupt and I like him for that. After the law passed in 2023, Republican lawmakers in the state criticized Newsom for the potential personal connection in the bill. Really? Has this happened last year? We didn't notice it. Californians deserve answers about Gavin's crooked...
That's the point.
Panera
I don't want you
deal.
to notice. No, don't do any nudicing.
Yeah. Crooked Panera deal. Assembly Republican leader James Gallagher wrote on X, the platform formerly known as Twitter. They say Newsom's got no business lecturing anyone about democracy when he's using his power to do favors for his special interest donors. It's literally taking a basic principle of democracy and abandoning it, and then corruption happens. California State Senate Minority Leader Brian Jones authored a letter with Gallagher and Assemblyman Joe Patterson asking State Attorney General Rob Bonta to investigate the allegations of pay-to-play politics in the drafting of the bill. The Hill has reached out to Newsom's office for further comment. Well, we'll see what happens with that. Probably nothing, but it is Newsom in California. Now, people have been suggesting for a long time that Newsom might replace Biden, but he's got so much baggage. I don't know if he even could, even with the current state of the Democratic Party. How well he did in the debate against Ron DeSantis as well should be instructive. He's not good in debates. So, again, short of rigging, he will not be a particularly good replacement, I don't think.
No, of course not.
He might even have aspirations to be more than just a corrupt puppet like Biden is, which would not suit the current Democrat Party.
Right. Also, the idea of a $20 minimum wage to flip burgers is so absolutely insane. And I don't know why people... I get that the cost of living in California is insane, but why is the cost of living in California insane? Because the minimum wage to flip a burger is $20 an hour. I mean, look, again, I'm from Appalachia. I'm from the shithole of America, and like the places that Democrats still manage to keep some stranglehold on because they promise things to those people and they're all did stuff. But I think the minimum wage in West Virginia might be $10 an hour now, maybe 11. Which it shouldn't even be, but like I think even that's too high. But the cost of living is lower.
Inflated wages causes inflation.
Wow, weirdly, it's still cheaper to live in West Virginia than it is to live in California, even though the minimum wages are like what? Oh, could there be a connection there? I don't know.
Well, the minimum wage thing is, as we all know, it's just another way of artificially creating inflation, and anyone that implements it is either desperately or trying to sabotage the area it applied to. And given Gavin Newsom, his record with the fish and the hydroelectric dams in the last story we just read, and everything else he's done, I think sabotage is more likely, but it is, again, so as we always say, it's quite possible it's both.
Yep. It could be either or both, but it's one or both, obviously.
Yeah.
One or the other or both.